Nice to see you here. Glad you could make it. Okay, my team, let's turn the corner and give our attention to another kind of practice that I believe makes our lives better, not externally, but internally. So today's session I'm calling I'll be happy when ... I'll be happy when I graduate from high school. I'll be happy when I have a girlfriend. I'll be happy when I get accepted to college. I'll be happy when I graduate from college. I'll be happy when I climb the highest peak in North America. The list goes on, and it might be something that you've got some resonance with, that there's this sense of once I've accomplished or I've attained or I've achieved X, Y, or Z, then happiness will surround me. So that orientation for now I want to call ambition. Ambition. And one of the ways to understand ambition is a desire for advancement or progress. And ambition in this form, the desire for progress, can be super helpful because it can get us out of ruts. It can get us out of places where we don't want to be anymore. It can help us lift ourselves into new levels of appreciation or luxury or leisure or ease. There's what I would call a few words that are similar to ambition are aspiration and drive and determination. And I can imagine that your life has had, and maybe has right now, dimensions of drive, determination, aspiration. And for so much of that, that's a wonderful thing, that you have a sense of where you want to be, and you've got the power and the initiative to make your way to that place. Yes, yes, yes. I want to contrast ambition with contentment. Contentment. One of my favorite ways to describe contentment is appreciation for being on a path, on a good path. So with that orientation, it's not about the destination. It's not about reaching the highest point. It's about being in a progress, a process. So some of the words that seem to connect with contentment, at least for me, are integrate and savor. And contentment, from my perspective, tends to have an inward orientation of this is enough. This is enough. It seems to me that I was trained, and I think everybody here grew up in the United States, so maybe you have a similar sense, that I was trained towards ambition. And one of the situations about ambition is that most of it seems to have external reference points. Like when I have this much money in my account, when I have moved into my own place, when I have run a 4-minute mile. So these external orientations, I want to contrast that with contentment, where the orientation is not outside. From my perspective, the contentment invites an awareness that what's right here, right now, good is already present. So let's pause right there and see if you have comments or questions or disagreements or agreements with what you've heard. Because I hope that I'm talking about things that you know in your heart, you know from your personal experience, and perhaps you also know because you've seen it out there in the world.
I'm curious if it works like I think I'm stuck in I'll be happier if I'm more confident or like if I'm a more developed human and it's
Ah,
not the bank account or the job, but now I'm waiting to be less nervous.
yeah, or I'll be happier when I'm more patient, or
A better meditator.
yeah, when I can meditate better. Yes.
Is
Well,
that the same? Or is that my mind is saying it's different, but that if the goal is esoteric in nature, that it's somehow okay to live in waiting for the future. But that fits in this, right?
well, nice try, Shara, but from my perspective, no. Partly because what's happening with ambition in the situation that you're describing is there's a projection into the future.
Yeah.
Let's acknowledge that any projection into the future is a mental process. Now, there are some mental processes that involve the future that are really smart, like planning. Yes, planning, helpful mental process about the future. There's also mental processing about the future, which is often not conscious, not deliberate, not chosen, and that I call worry. So what I'm aiming for, well, I'm going to pause again. I want to see if there are any other questions or comments about the topics that I'm bringing up and how I'm clarifying the difference between ambition and contentment. Yeah, Jules. And
Greg, are
then,
you saying that both can coexist? That the that that the goal that to have goals is okay, and as long as the acceptance of the present moment is also there, like it's not either or, right? It's like both.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. See, there, when we're talking about the path, being on the path may have a destination, but we're not there yet. But that doesn't mean that we can't have contentment for being on the path. That just because we're not at the destination doesn't mean that we have to feel incomplete or inadequate or unaccomplished. Yeah,
And
art
on
of
the
the,
flip side, almost on the flip side, that you also have the right to have goals. That's always been a little confusing to me because a lot of teachers teach that that enlightenment lies in acceptance of the present moment, but it's nice to hear that goals are okay too.
yeah. One of the things that that we pay attention to is the sense of fulfillment that I get when once that goal is achieved, and how that's putting off into the distance what is possible to experience right here, right now, even though that particular goal has not yet been achieved. Okay, Arlo, yeah, what are you thinking?
You know, one thing I've noticed in life is that an awful lot of capitalists and men and people that I talk to that have successful businesses, the ambition is so much more important than the contentment. And I've discovered over the years I have to somehow make my ambition kind of match theirs without getting trapped into their always wanting to get more, be more successful, 5% gain every year. I've always had a little more contentment than they had. And it gets really awkward at times. And I've learned that there's kind of a fine balance that I haven't quite gotten yet to explain my contentment is just as important as my ambition. And it's interesting. It made me think, particularly when I was a teenager working for my dad's company, that a lot of people there wanted me to take over the company, and the ambition was so much more important than the satisfaction of the job you were doing. It was very. It just makes me think back to that time.
You know,
So this is a good subject.
Okay, great. I'm also thinking of research that has shown that people who have a sense of self-compassion are more apt to reach their goals. People who have a sense of self-compassion are more apt to reach their goals. So we're walking a parallel path here. We're not going to focus on self-compassion per se, but as we move in the direction of developing contentment, self-compassion becomes more and more accessible. Okay. So I want to pause while I review my notes. Yeah. So for each of these, there are shadow qualities. So the shadow quality could mean like the dark side of this thing that we're talking about. So what are some of the dark sides of ambition? Would you just unmute and think and speak spontaneously? Dark sides of ambition.
I got to say greed.
Greed. Okay.
And by that I mean never getting enough.
Thank you.
Maybe putting your own good above the good of others around you.
And missing the moment, being caught in that chasing.
In achieving your goal, you lose compassion for those around you.
I experience self-judgments when I'm not on the path as much as I want to be, or not on the full path.
Wait, Deborah, would you say that?
Self-judgments or self-disappointment because I'm not like following the path to the level I want to be following it to that goal.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Well said. Okay.
Self-esteem. It kind of goes with what Deb said. In other words, expectation and then disappointment, not measuring up and then feeling bad about oneself, you know, because I'm so obsessed with this goal and I'm not achieving it. So therefore I feel invited to feel badly about myself.
Okay, thank you. Lovely. So what are possible shadow sides of contentment?
That's such a
Complacency.
strange question.
Complacency.
Complacency. Hmm.
Not trying, not making an effort. Oh well, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's hard, so I won't try.
My brain wants to say there is no shadow
Uh,
to that side.
okay. So,
So conditioned, like that's the goal, that's the right thing.
yeah, yeah.
Contentment.
Well, see,
There's no wrong there.
part of what we're exploring here is what the Tibetan Buddhists they talk about an opposite to any attribute. So, and then they talk about a near enemy. And a near enemy can look like the thing that we're thinking is admirable, but it's not.
I got it now. It's
Okay.
I mean, it would be I'll think I'm better than others in that in the way my brain looks at it. This is better be contentment. I get the goal. I'm gonna look at everyone else and go, I'm better. I got here.
Okay.
You didn't.
All right. So there's a kind of superiority.
There, I found a little. I'm sure there's more, but I'm like I couldn't find. My brain was just blocked, and this is such a great inquiry. This is so good.
Okay. Okay. What other, like Laurel gave a great example of something that might look like contentment, but it's actually it sounds to me that complacency is like sucking the juice out of or the energy out of you. Any other ideas for shadow qualities or the near enemy of contentment?
Laziness.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
Settling, just settling.
Yeah. Say more about that, Laurel.
It's just a different color of it, you know. Just it's okay, you know. It's all right. It can be a lot of that kind of hippie skippy, you know. It's cool, you know. I don't want to try so hard, you know. I just I'll settle. It's okay. It's good enough. Good enough.
Okay. So one of the words that comes to me as I'm listening to you, Laurel, is acquiescence. One version of acquiescence is, well, I kind of want to do this, but because you want to do that, I'll go with you. And so there's the shadow part of that is I don't actually feel or express or follow my desire. So there's another word that for me labels that behavior, and that is caving. Caving. I don't do or say or live my truth because, let's say, David wants to do something different, or David gets upset when I live my truth. And so I cave and I don't live my truth so that he doesn't get upset and I don't have to live with him being upset every day.
Stop talking about my life, Greg.
Okay. So is there any
example, right?
Yes, Marion.
Another way of saying it might be outwardly deferring, but inwardly resisting.
Whoa, Marion.
I won't tell you who says that to me, but
Outwardly deferring. Like deferring can be such an act of generosity. Oh, I defer to your choice. I defer to you. that feels like generosity. But if there's inward resistance, oh, that's going to feel nasty for you.
I could give you a lot of examples, but I don't want to go there.
Okay, that means we're talking about things that are actually part of our life. That's really helpful. So now let's do a practice where we hone our capacity for contentment. I'm not so interested in amping up or honing or developing your capacity for ambition. Most of us in the West have plenty of that, and as Deborah pointed out, we can be disappointed and frustrated and angry with ourselves because we haven't reached where we're aiming for. So instead of orienting towards developing ambition today, let's orient towards developing our capacity for contentment. So for this to happen, would you take a posture that's as comfortable as you can manage for now? And during this practice, you can change your posture at any time. Scratch your nose, open your eyes, close your eyes, go to the bathroom. You've got permission to do whatever it takes for you to sustain a sense of comfort, and to the extent that you can, awareness for what we're doing. So in the situation where you are right now, like this very location, and how your body is in this particular location, are you okay? And explore for a little bit whatever your answer to that question is. Are you okay? Notice I'm not asking, is this situation perfect? Are you perfect? No, this is different. Right here, right now, are you okay? To whatever extent the answer is yes, let your nervous system fully absorb that truth. You might notice your breath slowing down a little. You might notice your body feeling a little bit heavier in a pleasant way. You might notice your mind softening and quieting a little bit. Would you place both hands on your belly? They can be next to each other or one on top of the other. That part doesn't matter. And breathe in such a way that you can feel the belly rise and fall. Imagine that the hands, the warmth and pressure of the hands, so by this I mean go into your belly and feel the warmth and pressure of those hands. Imagine feeling that warmth and pressure as soothing encouragement. Soothing encouragement. from someone who knows and loves you very much. To the extent that you can, let the nervous system relax and soften with this touch. And I ask the question again, right here, right now, are you okay? Okay. Now, both hands over your heart. Just notice if that touch changes your inner world a little. Maybe a sense of softening, maybe a sigh. Your mind may continue to be active, which is fine. We're turning our attention now to what's happening somatically or in the body. So the hands can feel the rise and fall of each breath. And pretend these hands belong to someone who knows you very well and loves you very much. Let your system soften and relax. Are you okay? Okay. Now bring your hands to your face. It could be one hand on each cheek or one hand over your forehead and the other at your throat. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you allow the touch to soothe you. What we're doing is learning to take care of ourselves from the inside. Imagining these hands belonging to someone who knows you very well, loves you very much, and is communicating tenderness and encouragement. Now let your hands go to wherever they'll be comfortable. You might notice a kind of a shadow of where the hands were on your face. Right now, right here. There's not a lot going on in the environment or with your body in terms of action. For a little while, orient awareness towards what's happening now. it may be that what's happening is quite small. But when awareness brings the full light of consciousness, the word small may disappear, and it's simply what is. As you notice mental processes, it may be that the light of awareness is bright enough or warm enough to dissolve or dispel a mental process. But maybe not. Maybe the mental process goes on for a little while, and then the meditation itself draws your attention back to simply being attentive to what's happening now. As we finish this practice, I'd like you to explore to what extent contentment is part of your present moment experience. That this, whatever it is, this is enough for now. This is enough. And I'm okay. To whatever extent there's something positive happening, whether it's a warm feeling, a sense of a quieter, softer mind, or a sense of accomplishment, like, gosh, I'm doing this. It's working. Whatever positive dimension shows up for you, savor that for 1 minute. Orient awareness to what's positive in your experience. Even if it's hard to name, you can still feel it. Now back out of that specific thing and just open awareness 360 degrees and up and down too, so it's like spherically. There's nothing in particular to look for, but to be awareness in all directions. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So from here, I'd like you to blow as much air out of your system as possible. And keep the air out for a while. And stay in this place where you are in direct opposition with a life force that is so strong. Sooner or later, it will overpower your ability to keep air out. When that happens, let the air rush in like a glorious chorus. And notice that the life force is in your body. The life force is here, part of what's keeping you alive. And let there be a moment of gratitude for something so much bigger than you. You don't control it. You just proved that you cannot stop the life force from entering your system. Let that be like a river that your life floats down. The life force. You're in a little rowboat, merrily, merrily down the stream. So from here, bring your hands into Anjali, or prayer position in front of your heart, and kiss your fingertips. And open your hands like a prayer book in front of your heart, and blow those kisses out to the world. And then let your hands go to wherever they'll be comfortable. And if your eyes have been closed, reconnect with your location using your eyes. Oh yeah, here, I'm in this room. I see that wall and this little device. Okay. So there is a practice that, from my perspective, it enhances our capacity for contentment and being attuned to the good that's already here.